Professor Nelson. This is about my 10th time trying to get an intro right. Um, it's actually really hard to do. I don't know how you do it all the time. Um, this is my first time taking any philosophy course, as probably most students in this course. When I first took this course, or when I signed up for it, I didn't think that it would be what it is. I didn't even know what philosophy was. I honestly just took this class because I thought, oh, this is gonna satisfy my humanities credits, and it's gonna be all right, and it's gonna be an easy A. And it's turning out not to be, and that's all right. But I'm learning a lot on the way. I really, ever since taking this course, I feel like I really, like my eyes have really opened up about um, like how the world works and how we speak to one another and how our values are. And yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started with chapter one and explaining like what really impacted me in that chapter. And I'm gonna mainly probably focus on chapter 30 because that chapter was really um, like I feel like I can talk about that the most because my family is super Christian, really into Christian morals and all that stuff. So yeah. So in the first chapter, when you mention how nobody's ideas are ever the same, um, that really resonated with me because it really I never really thought about how somebody's ideas, when you have an idea, it's never the same as when somebody else has an idea, and you have to try and communicate those ideas to someone else. um, I never really thought of it that way. I always thought, oh, this person's going to understand exactly what I'm saying if I say it clear enough. I never really thought like it's never ever going to be the same, if that makes sense. Um, and I recently really saw that when I got a new job as a lifeguard, and we have to help customers all the time and make sure that they're enjoying their experience at the hotel that they're staying at. Um, and having to explain to them, say, directions or um, maybe like where the towels are or anything like that. Some people just like have a hard time understanding when you explain it to them, and sometimes you may have to explain it in a different way. And I really like see that now that I read that chapter. Like I see that in my day-to-day life every single day, and that's something that I didn't really think about at all before reading that first chapter. Going off of what I just said about opinions, um, you also mentioned in the notes or in the lecture how being entitled, quote, you're being entitled to your own opinion is not a culture right because those have to do with your social status within your culture as well as established social norms. Um, and then you also say, yeah, as you are aware, the higher your social status, seemingly more rights you have. And then you go on to say, like, that we all, no matter what social status we all have opinions, no matter where you come from, no matter what country you're from, no matter what laws are in that country, you have an opinion. And, um, you know, no law or force of government is going to make you change your opinion. And that's something that you'll always have. And that's something I also never like really thought to think about is, um, like we all secretly have our opinions no matter where we come from, no matter like what the laws are, if we're allowed or not allowed to say those opinions. We still have them just like every other human being. And I don't know if you mentioned that, but I think that's what makes us human is our right to opinion, our right to have any opinion at all that differentiates us from any other animal or being on earth, because we are able to form those opinions and come up with um, decision making and decide from those opinions where we want to, go in life, or um, what political party we want to be a part of, or who we want to get married to based on our opinions. And it just, I don't know, like I always thought, in a third world country, people don't really have opinions. Not don't have opinions, but um, their opinions are closed off, and they obviously are, but their opinions are still there, and they're still, even though they can't say them or tell anyone about them, they're still there, and that's something that I didn't really think to understand or even comprehend before reading this lecture. And that's something that I'll definitely keep in mind when I'm reading newspaper articles or um, anything, news based, because it's something that I think is important for people to understand. That those people still have opinions. Yeah. So I was actually in a Catholic school for about 7 years, from elementary all the way to seventh grade. It was at St. Viator. I don't know if you've heard of it. I think it's on Eastern and Trop. But I spent 7 years there, and I took a religion class every single year. And religion was a strong basis, of course, at a Christian or Catholic school, my bad. And we spent a lot of time learning about the Bible and learning about our morals and what we're supposed to abide by in life. And one of the things that I really didn't even know up until I read your lecture was that Christianity was one of the first religions or beliefs that where they really imposed hope or a reason, quote unquote, a reason to be alive, an identity. And I didn't even know about that. I thought, that it was something that has kind of developed over time. I didn't even think to relate Christianity to any sort of philosophy at all. But after reading the first couple chapters and going into the third chapter, especially reading the first couple chapters, I thought, wow, some of these morals, especially Plato's and Socrates, some of them really relate to basic Christian morals. And that's something that I didn't know at all up until reading this, and it's really fascinating to me how it all kind of developed into Christianity and going into Judaism and all those different sub-religions of Christianity. And I really found that interesting. So like I said, I went to a Catholic school for 7 years of my life. And it was a really big part of my life for a really long time. But as time went on and my family didn't go to church and I didn't go to church, and I kind of leered away from my Christian morals. And even now, I am not a full Christian. I don't actively go to church every single weekend. My mom and some of my mom's close friends are very, very, very religious, and it's something that I haven't been able to weir myself back into, just because it no longer sits with my morals, and simply because, like you said in your lecture, that your personal beliefs are relevant to me because they provide the roadmap for your life, not mine. My life has sort of been like, my mom has always promoted that I be a good Christian, and then I follow the Bible and I go to church every single weekend. And that's just not something that I have been comfortable doing with myself, just because it is something that I've never found the answer in Christianity. So it's never been something that I really believe in and that I value. And yeah, and so since I have kind of veered away from those Christian morals, I've sort of seen what in Christianity is actually based on truth and what is based on, you know, what people have built up over time, simple myths. Is Jesus, did Jesus ever actually live? That's something that I've always looked towards evidence in my life and to follow what I believe in. And Christianity is something that has very little evidence as far as the truth goes. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, I've never been able to find myself in Christianity just simply because there are no hard facts. Um, and that's something that I need in order to truly believe in something. And it's something that I've really struggled with in life. So going off of the same lecture still, you state that the Bible has been written in several versions, each with a motive for an end purpose for the individual version written. So I think I said this previously before in one of my clips that my mom has a very close family friend that is very religious, and we stayed with them when our house flooded during Hurricane Harvey. I lived in Houston for a couple years, and she really believed in the Bible, and she, even after I explained to her that not everything in the Bible is necessarily what Jesus thought or what his followers thought in that time frame, and she didn't seem to understand that. And I tried to explain like the general purpose of the Bible. Well, the general purpose of the Bible can be manipulated to what people wanted us to believe 2,000 years ago when it was written, or even 1,000 years ago when it was rewritten again, so that people would follow it in that time. It kind of like it kind of molds to the shape of whatever people in that time frame believe in. And so that's something that I tried to explain to her, and she didn't seem to understand that or even care about it. So I want to go back here because you also said something that I think could go really well with this. So you said people will believe a lie either because they want it to be true or they're afraid it's true. So I think that's kind of how she was. She didn't want to believe what I was saying was true. That the Bible is composed of hundreds and thousands of people's different opinions on what should be and shouldn't be in the Bible over hundreds and hundreds of years, and that those morals and values can change over time. And I think she just kind of didn't want to believe that simply because she was so hardcore Christian and set in her ways that that she didn't want to believe anything that I was saying, and that's okay. But it's just something that that I noticed when I was speaking to her after reading these chapters. I realized that some people's beliefs can't be changed, and that's all right. It's just how they are. But yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this my conclusion. Overall, I really have enjoyed this class so far. The past several chapters have really opened up my eyes about like what I think in the world, or how I view the world, and how like my morals have really impacted my life, and where my morals have come from, whether that be from Plato or Socrates. And as far as like relating Christianity to my life, I really like the last chapter really resonated with me the most. I feel like that really has gotten me thinking, and I'm excited to see where the third chapter turns, or where the third chapter leads to the rest of the book. Because that's honestly where it really, really opened up my eyes. Not so much looking at Plato or Socrates, but really looking like how philosophy has impacted Christianity, because it is something that has, out of all the things that we've talked about so far, has been in my life the most and has impacted my life the most. And also, as far as my job goes, I really I saw what the philosophers the moral philosophers, like what they had visioned or what they believed in, has really like even gone as far as to be the moral values in my job. And yeah, this is going to be my end. I look forward to making another video in December and to learning more during these next few chapters. And yeah, bye.